Hello, my name is Erin Bowling. I teach first grade at Porter Elementary. This is my 11th year at Porter teaching. I have taught both first and third, first for the longest. Porter is in Hager Hill, Kentucky, and it's part of the Johnson County School District. The title of my ARI mini grant is called What Happened to the Overhead Projectors? And if you all were students in the 70s or 80s or probably even early 90s, you know what I'm talking about. So my research question is, how can my students see me and my lesson? And I really, I wanted to get this item, and I'm going to show you a little bit about it in just a minute. I'm going to move my camera so you can see my pictures. So what happened to the overhead projectors we all had as children growing up in the classroom, like below? And you can see those photos, and you know what I'm talking about. We all had those in our classroom growing up. I actually wrote another mini grant that I received for the VR headsets, and that was my original idea. But a coworker come to me and said, "This is a really cool item. I wish we could have that." And I thought, well, I'll write a grant on it. When I started researching this item that I'm getting ready to show you, it just reminded me of these overhead projectors that we all had growing up. So, what happened to the overhead projectors that we had? Well, this is what happened to them. They got cool. So this is called the learning glass, or kind of in the tech world and with the people that created this, it's called an EGlass. And these are some photos of the EGlass. So you can see this man is actually using the EGlass. It's got some really cool things I'm going to tell you about. This is what it looks like. Here's another professor using his EGlass. Now, this is the really cool part. So my research question was, how can my students see me and my presentation, or my lesson? So you're going to stand behind this learning glass or EGlass. So let me tell you a little bit about it. So meet the EGlass, or it's called the learning glass. It's a 35-inch glass LED light board. It's a specialized piece of glass that has LED lighting that creates a transparent white board to illuminate writing with neon markers. It comes with several of these neon sort of dry erase markers. It uses AlumaClear technology, and it can be paired with a computer, a camera, iPad, iPhone. So the teacher sits behind the EGlass facing her students and writes, or he faces the students and writes normally. And the internal mirrors flip the images automatically. Also, Zoom is built in. You can insert a PowerPoint or any image that you wish to add in your presentation. So my why. Well, first of all, I teach first grade. So I always have anywhere between 20 and 25 first graders. And, you know, those little bodies, it's hard to contain them sometimes. And I just was really finding it a challenge when I was teaching using my whiteboard, especially virtually. But in person also, I always felt like, okay, that was a great lesson. But my back was to them a lot of the time, or not only was my back to them, but half of the class could only see part of my lesson. So it's a game changer for both in-person and virtual teaching. As educators, we also know how much importance there is with eye contact, classroom management, or to enhancing learning. Like I said, I always feel like my back is to my students. Even with lessons that I've created that I thought were awesome, I was still left with the feeling like, okay, well, my back was to them part of the time. And it not only doesn't enhance your lesson, but it also can be a behavior management issue. I couldn't see all of them. They couldn't see me, and they also couldn't see all my materials. And of course, like I said, with 20 to 25 first graders, it can be problematic in a variety of different ways. So the EGlass is just perks, perks, and more perks. It's more than just a tool. It's a completely new way to visually engage students. They can see both the material and the teacher, and it creates a more productive lesson every single time. It was actually, what the really cool thing about this EGlass was, is it was actually created during the pandemic to embrace the new hybrid model of teaching. But I think it's going to be just as effective with in-person teaching as well. So research suggests that learners struggle to absorb new information when they are unable to see the instructor, and the EGlass takes care of all of that. So if you're standing and you have the EGlass in front of you, you can visually engage with every single student. You can use the EGlass to write whatever you want, and it automatically flips it on the other side, so you don't have to worry about that. So the way that I plan on evaluating the effectiveness, of course, I hope that in our April summit, I'm going to share some videos with me using the EGlass. I'm excited about that. But the way I plan on evaluating student engagement and student behavior management will be evaluated by using a digital checklist. Prior to receiving the EGlass, I will use the checklist to mark every time that a student was off task, every time I asked them to refocus or look at the teacher, or asked to focus back on the material on the board. Upon arrival of the learning glass, I'm going to use the same checklist and then compare the two when the evaluation period has ended. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Erin Bowling. I'm at Porter Elementary. If you have any questions regarding the EGlass, feel free to email me at the email below, and I can send you some links and I can tell you more about the EGlass.